Very simple. It's carrots, onion, celery. It's about 6 carrots, 2 onions, something like that, 1 stick of celery. But, you know, it changes every time I do it. When I cook at home, I don't want aggravation. I want to do something 10 minutes and it's done. Now, we take our rabbit, out with the liver. There we are. And, you know, if you don't want to chop up a rabbit, get your butcher to do it. Strip out the kidneys and the fat. And you can see this was a very healthy rabbit. You mostly get 4 portions out of a rabbit. They're cheap, they're free almost. You know, and they're delicious, and I don't get it why people can't eat them. I mean, there's no real butchery to it, it's just very simple. It's a leg, take the leg off. You've got to have a bit of confidence. I remember as a boy sucking the bones. And just cover the pan with water. One more thing. Chicken stock cubes. Just dissolve them in. And there you are. Look at those delicious pieces of rabbit. And now what we do is very simple. We just boil it till it turns into a soup and lunch, dinner. I'd say it'll take about an hour. What better way of celebrating their life? By eating them. And we all know a rabbit loves a carrot. The meat's cooked. It's now just about finishing it off. The next stage is we put in some bay leaves. There's our kidneys and our liver. Not everyone's cup of tea, but that's optional, remember. Not everyone likes liver. And drop in the kidneys. Bit of olive oil. I was fortunate enough in the 60s to be brought up on it. My mum was Italian. Parsley. Just chop it coarsely. Okay. There you are. And what you don't eat today, you can have tomorrow. Little kidneys. Love a kidney. It's dinner, it's broth, it's soup, it's stock pot. What I'm going to do now is show you how to make the perfect crackling. No fuss, straightforward, guaranteed every time. Just take a tiny bit of sunflower oil and just massage it into the belly pork. You could use clarified butter if you wanted. Without the oil, the crackling is never as golden, it's never as crispy. Table salt, just season evenly. Not too much salt. We take a little water, we put that in the bottom of our roasting tray. I mean, if someone said to me, Marco, how much water? Who cares? Because as long as it doesn't evaporate, I'm not that bothered. And the reason for that is because I want to capture all those juices. And so that is the base of my gravy. Let's just put our belly pork on our rack. 1.5 hours, maybe 2 hours, bottom shelf. Approx 160. Your crackling should be golden brown. Perfect. So within that time, we can make our honey glaze. So for the honey glaze, we've got the clear honey, star anise, 6 or 7, and 1 tablespoon of cracked coriander. Approx 600 mils of honey, clear honey, and it goes. Then we take our coriander and our star anise, and then we reduce that down by half, and that's our glaze. My garnish for my roast pork is going to be roast onions. Cooking should be a pleasure. If it's a job, get a takeaway. I didn't peel them. I just cut them straight in half. I don't mind a bit of skin. It holds it all together. Bay leaf, take a bit of sage. And just a little bit of seasoning. And then just pop them in the oven. And when they're cooked, they're cooked. The inspiration for the pig is from the old man. It was a cheap cut, but it was delicious. Good fat content. Buy a belly pork. It's much cheaper than a prime cut, and it tastes better. Amazing crackling. Now, but as you can see, the water underneath has collected all those juices. And that's going to be the foundation of my sauce. My gravy is now reducing, and it's almost there. But just to finish it off, what I will do, I'll add a tiny bit of my honey reduction into there, just give it a bit of sweetness. And then I'm going to glaze it with the honey reduction. Okay, there's our pig. Pig. And I like big chunks. I don't like sort of thin slices. And this little piggy went to market. He really went to market. This is a big pig. It smells good. And, you know, to drop this in the middle of the table on a Sunday lunch or whatever day of the week, it's got that sense of occasion. It doesn't have to be perfect. How do I make a fish pie in 15 minutes, aggravation-free? It's very simple. We have the smoked haddock, we have the cod, but you can use pollock, salmon, prawns, scallops, hard-boiled eggs, young leeks, cheese, potatoes, cream, stock cubes. You can get very good frozen shrimp, shell off. Take off their tails. Take out the entrails. Pull and twist, as you can see. I always use scallops in the shell, and you can get these in the supermarket as well. Just release the scallop from its muscle. Just pop it out. Take that big coral off. So we just blanch them for approximately 30 seconds. See, you see them applauding me? So we've just blanched them to allow us to take the flesh out of the shell. What I do is I press in, and then just pinching the base of the tail, comes out whole. A fish pie should be on every pub menu in Britain. Families should have a fish pie once a month in Britain. Great way of introducing children to eating fish. Here's our pie dish. We like a big pie. Any white fish will do. And cut them into quite large chunks. Shrimps. Scallops, quite chunky. Smoked haddock, because it flavours the fish pie. Salmon. But, you know, there's no rules. Whatever fish you can get, whatever fish you like, put in your pie. You can see it's stacked with fish. Well, I'd say that's a pie for 4, or mum and dad and 3 kids. So we'll take approximately 400 mils of double cream and a fish cube. I've always used stock cubes as a seasoning, not for making stock with. As you can see, it's just starting to coat the back of a spoon. And then what we do is we just pour it over our fish. We take our eggs, young leeks, blanch them for about 3 minutes, and just sprinkle them on. And then to finish off, some cheddar cheese. Again. Some cheddar cheese. Again. Some people put the cheddar on top of the pie, but I don't see what it does. And the cheddar inside the pie is delicious. The final part, mashed potato. You know, if you've got a little bit more or a little bit less, who cares? Any excuse to taste things. Now, we put it in the oven for approximately 15 minutes. Very high, top shelf. And if it burns, don't blame me. What I love about a fish pie, it's got a bit of everything in it. You've got everything within that one pie, which represents every corner of Britain. So there's our fish pie. It's been in the oven for about 15 minutes. This is the moment. So now what we're going to do is just... Oh, this is nerve-wracking. And there we are. And so what I'm going to prepare for you now is soused herrings. These are the herring fillets, and they've been in brine for 3 hours. The second stage is the pickling syrup. We take some of the onions, which have been sliced very finely, and then they're blanched in water. Some of the carrots. And then what we do is just lay the fillets in the dish. And then we take the rest of our onions, the rest of our carrots. Now, your pickling syrup, 750 of white wine vinegar to 250 of castor sugar. In a pan, bring to the boil. When it's cold, add your star anise, green peppercorns, white and black peppercorns, bay leaf and fresh thyme. And all we do is we just pour that over. There's no real skill to this job. So now I'll put that in the fridge for 2 to 3 days, depending on the size of the fillets. So our herrings have been in for just over 2 days. These are young beetroot, and they work amazingly well with a bit of sour cream and horseradish. Like little chocolate cherries. Like looking for women. Beautiful shape. Pretty. Fresh horseradish. the sour cream, tiny bit of horseradish on each one. A little bit more of the garnish. Let's be honest, you could just make a beetroot salad in a bowl, herrings on a plate. Your choice. You know, I like to show off. And some of these nice little spices. Just putting some chives on the beetroot. And so there's our soused herrings with our beetroot salad, with the sour cream and the grated horseradish. Charlie's ham. How I like to eat it is with a celeriac salad with mayonnaise and mustard. Just slice it very thinly. It's one of those dishes which just works deliciously well. And so then what we've got to do is we put the celeriac in a bowl and we just take a little bit of salt. We'll leave it for a couple of hours. What we're going to make now is some mayonnaise. Just take our egg yolks, a little bit of vinegar. Then we take the olive oil, and what we do is to start with just add our oil very slowly, because what we don't want to do is split it. A tablespoon Dijon mustard, a tablespoon of English mustard, and just finish off with a bit of seasoning. And so now what we do is we take some of our mayonnaise. I personally don't like too much mayonnaise, but having said that, I don't want too little. It almost looks like Dulux paint. So if you just put those to one side, you're not going to get Charlie's ham unless you're a maid. So when you go down the supermarket, when you go down your delicatessen, buy whatever cured meats you've got. And the celeriac salad with the mustard works fantastically well with it. And there's something rather nice about carving a pig. I mean, this pig, he was the poshest of pigs. As you can see, look at that fat coating. I mean, that is a real pig. That is the best of British. This is old-fashioned pig at its best. I mean, give us our daily pig. That's what I would say. He lived a fantastic life. He was a happy pig. I saw him in the woods when I finally found him. Just, what am I doing now? What the fuck am I going now with that? Then what we should do is just take some celeriac. Salad, ham, celeriac, mustard, parsley. Very simple. It's Britain on the plate. I'd like to think that Charlie would think, you show my pig a bit of respect. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the saddle of venison, which the saddle is from the back of the venison. It's one of the finest bits of the venison, if not the finest. So we've got the venison, gherkins, capers, parsley, shallots, anchovy, and a raw egg yolk, and a bit of seasoning and a few bottles. Take our venison. We just cut it into 4. And you know, any good butcher can get you venison, and maybe down the supermarket you'll be able to get venison. So what I'm going to do now is mince it. If you haven't got venison, use steak. Rump steak's fantastic. So what we do now is a teaspoon of gherkins, capers, small ones, parsley, chopped shallots, 1 anchovy crushed, teaspoon of Worcester sauce, just guess that, Tabasco, a few drops depending on how spicy you like it, ketchup, just a little bit, and a splash of olive oil. Okay, very simple. You don't have to be a cook to do this. Just mix it all in. Take our minced venison. It's about 7 ounces of venison. It's a lot of meat. It's quite butch. So there's our tartare. We've got one last thing to do now. We separate the white from the yolk. And there is your venison tartare. Very simple. 600 mils of double cream. Bring that to the boil. 5 egg yolks. 100 sugar. 1.5 vanilla pods. The reason why I use vanilla pods, it's a better flavour. It's the real deal. So the cream's scalded now. We just take it off and we add to our eggs. And there's our custard. Delicious, like a milkshake. Right, just fill the dishes with the custard in the oven, about 110 for 30 minutes. To have a delicate custard, flavoured with vanilla, with a caramel topping, is masterful. I mean, people think it's complicated, but it's not. So there's our Cambridge burnt creams, cooked perfectly. I always say, thin layer of sugar, glaze it, thin layer of sugar again, glaze it. Now, we'll do the second coating. If you want creme brulee that much and you want to make it that much, then you should go and buy a blowtorch. Otherwise, don't bother. So as you can see, very fine. But, you know, it's your choice. You want to put more sugar on, you put more sugar on. Delicious. So what I'm going to make for you is an Eton Mess. And I haven't made meringue for 30 years. 8 egg whites. 400 grams of sugar. At the end, you just put the juice of half a lemon in. Now what I've done is I've got a soft peak. Just put it into the piping bag, but try not to get any air pockets. So when you pipe, you get a nice run. Just put them in the oven, lowest possible temperature, and when they've dried, then they come out, and they're perfect. Take the tops off the strawberries. Some raspberries. It's not tradition to put raspberries with Eton Mess, but raspberries just give it that little bit of extra richness, that little bit of a punch. A little bit of sugar. The next stage, cream, icing sugar and vanilla powder. Cream. Double cream, of course. Approx. 500 grams, half a litre. 50 grams of icing sugar, half a vanilla pod, seeds, vanilla seeds. Oh, look at that fighting. I should make smaller recipes, it'd be easier. And there's our vanilla cream. So a few strawberries. Okay, then we just break up the meringue. Again, your choice, big or small. And let's live in the real world. If you haven't got time to make meringue, buy it. Go down the supermarket. And then we take a little bit of pulp. So we've got our glasses which we've chilled in the freezer. You see, when I put the ice cream in, it just doesn't melt. I remember the first time I ever ate Eton Mess. I did enjoy it, but I thought it was a bit one-dimensional. I think the genius of putting a big ball of vanilla ice cream in the bottom of the dish was from all those years ago in Bridlington, when I first had my Knickerbocker glory. The pulp. Be generous with your pulp. Put our mess on top. A nice sprig of mint. And the big bowl for me. So what I'm going to prepare now is something very simple. Just red fruits in a rosé jelly. Breadcrumbs for garnish, blackberries, strawberries, blueberries and raspberries. Boil our rosé wine. 500 grams of sugar. It may look a little cloudy at this moment in time, but as it boils, it'll boil clear. So it's just going up to the boil now, and what I've got to do is just whisk 8 leaves of gelatine which have been soaked in water. You know, you can buy granules, it's the same, whichever your preference is. Just whisk it until it all dissolves. And don't think that your children will get drunk if you give it to them, because by cooking the wine, you're removing the alcohol from it. And there's our rosé wine jelly. So now we have to let that cool. So a tiny bit of jelly at the bottom of each one. And then what we do, jelly, fruit, jelly, fruit. So what I don't want to happen is I don't want to turn it out and it breaks, because there's not enough jelly. And I'm just finishing it off with blackberries. What we do is just put them in the fridge until they've set up. So these jellies they've taken about 5 hours to set. And so what we've got to do is now take them out and then present them. I mean, this is where disaster can strike. Oh, perfect. Jelly Royale. So there's our jellies. What we serve them with is a syrup of raspberries. Flood the plate. I don't like dribbles of sauces on plate. I just think it's, what's the point? Does it make it taste any better? And then just some mint. And there's our red fruits in jelly.